Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to another edition of Prime on My Media Prime TV. This evening, we're going to be looking at the power tussle within the Southwest Regional Assembly and House of Chiefs, emanating from a message that came from the Senior Divisional Officer for FAKO, calling on the chiefs to be present, physically present for this year's National Day celebration. This message was addressed to the respective divisional officers in FAKO to, in turn, tell the chiefs to respect the message from the senior divisional officer, insisting that failure to be physically present for these celebrations, they were going to face a disciplinary action. A message that also received a reaction from the House of Chiefs, who actually told the senior divisional officer that he was crossing the red line, that he had no powers or authority to order the chiefs to be physically present. Another message which also caused another reaction, this time around from the president of the House of the Southwest Regional Assembly, who also openly rebuke the president of the House of Chiefs for the Southwest region for not supporting the message of the senior divisional officer for FAKO. We are going to be looking at this this night with our panelists in the House. We have Mr. Nji Lucas, who is a member of Cameroon Civil Society, coming all the way from Boya. Good evening, we're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Coleman. Good evening, televiewers. The program tonight, I want to say that it's one of the programs that is going to be very difficult in terms of understanding, in the sense that a lot of people do not understand the difference between the Regional Assembly and the House of Chiefs. Howbeit, with the topics tonight, I believe that they are going to understand exactly what it is. Permit me also to say that, please, there is a video circulating online which is not good. It is a consensus child, a case I'm currently managing, who was actually raped by another 14-year-old child. A 9-year-old child was raped by a 14-year-old child. And some people took it upon themselves to send that video online. Please do not circulate the video. We are still investigating the matter to understand exactly what happened. Please.
Okay, Kedia Robert Malafe, representing the civilian party, is on this platform. Good evening, Kedia. Glad to have you.
Good evening to you. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to all Cameroonians. It's a pleasure to be here again to talk about burning issues that concerns our chiefs and our elected officials and administrators with regards to the managing of our day-to-day life. Special greetings to the paramount chief of Boya, Robert Endele, His Royal Majesty Robert Endele, someone I admire so much. When you look at his profile, he studies from America and back to Cameroon to serve his people with all the intellectual capacity, wealth, and everything he has provided for himself, but he decided to come back and serve his people. He's one of the chiefs in FAKO I respect so much. As time goes on, we'll be giving our view with regards to the various administrative decisions that was signed by the various presidents of the houses and, of course, that of the SDO.
Okay. We also are going to be discussing with Tamai Jarvis, who is sitting in for Raymond Jume, who informed us this evening that the child is sick. He's actually in the hospital. We pray, wishing speedy recovery to your daughter, Raymond Jume. Thank you for coming, Tamai Jarvis.
Thank you, Mr. Kum. Good evening to the co-panelists, Mr. Nji, Usongoya, Kedia Robert Malafe. It's been a very busy weekend and a very busy week to start with, and a special good evening to all those who actually put their hands on deck to see that the celebration of the National Day went on each free across the entire country, and a special one to the bishops who went to see the inaugural mass of the Pontiff, that is Pope Leo XIV. I'm talking about the Archbishop of Bamenda, Junkia, His Grace, and also the Bishop of Boya, His Lordship Michael Bibi, as well as the Archbishop of Douala, Samuel Clare, that they were all in Rome to see the inaugural mass of the Pontiff Leo XIV.
Okay. After the message that was addressed to the divisional officers for FAKO, we had this reaction from the president of the House of Chiefs. But before I read this, let's take a listen to this report by Emanuela C. in Boya.
Yesterday, May 20, 2025, saw traditional rulers in their numbers attend the National Day celebration in Boya, saying that it is their civic duty as Cameroonians.
No, it's a civic duty. The chiefs have always been participating in this event since the 70s. And then, so this year was not a special year. The chiefs have never boycotted this event for any other reason that I know. So we enjoy coming here. We have always been part of nation building of this country, and it's our civic responsibility. And we enjoy the day today very, very much.
They also added that they were taken aback with the senior divisional officers' communique on discipline to absentee traditional rulers on the National Day ceremonial ground.
Well, I read the message with a little bit of consternation, because I know that as somebody who loves this country, we don't need to be reminded to come to this annual ceremony of showing our unity for the country. So I was taken a little bit aback, but the SDO is the SDO, and I am a chief. I'll do my job, let him do his own job.
According to the president of the Southwest House of Chiefs, the senior divisional officer crossed the red line of rudeness, mentioning that absentee traditional rulers will be disciplined.
Some people may not be able to come. Don't produce anything that goes in the wrong way, talking about discipline. Those are not words to be used during a National Unity Day.
However, the chiefs maintain that they are not obeying the communique of the senior divisional officer, but it is their right to be there as compatriots.
Normal chief they get for camp, they get for people grasslands. So if any chief they say they come, except the chief, it will be a chief where you know well, or sometimes not there for town, or sometimes they out of country, and so on and so forth. Now my duty for camp, so I get right for camp and I go camp.
It should be noted here that on a communique dated May 15, 2025, from the senior divisional officer of FAKO to the divisional officers, he mentioned that traditional rulers in FAKO who do not justify their absence at the National Day ceremonial grounds will be subjected to a request for explanation and a disciplinary fine descend to their hierarchy. This action by the senior divisional officer has caused widespread condemnation on the respect of traditional authorities who are leaders in their respective villages and are auxiliaries of the state.
Thank you very much, Emanuela C. I'll start with you, Robert Akedia Malangfe. We start with the message from the senior divisional officer who wrote to the divisional officers for all the chiefs to be physically present for this celebration, and that if they were not to be there, they may face disciplinary actions. Was there any need for that?
Firstly, what we should know is that it's not a public document. It is an internal document. It is sad now that in our nation we see administrative document in public, but this document remains a private document which the senior divisional officer wrote to the divisional officer, and I think there are about 7 of them, the 7 subdivisions of FAKO, giving them instruction that they should do everything possible to ensure that the chiefs are present. And now when the SEO talk about doing everything possible for them to be present, he's here talking about invitation, and I believe that invitations have been given. It was printed, all divisions they have it, in which it is given to chiefs, given to men of God, inviting them to come. Now where I have a problem with the various communique that came after is the fact that
we are going to look at
yes, I am still talking about the SDU.
Yes.
The fact is that the invitation from the various due to the chiefs and all other personalities didn't have an injunction telling them that
they
should be present. So they have their personal invitation, they don't have this. So now when communiques are being written based on an internal document between administrator, really it is not called for, because if this document were sent immediately directly to chief with all this injunction, then I would definitely support the chief that they should even boycott, the SDO should apologize. But this document remained an internal document that was from the SDO to the DO. And many people go out interpreting this document, and there is a phrase, a line there that people boycott to talk about it. People say that the SDO asks that all the chiefs should be present, and those absent will have disciplinary fine. There is a phrase there is a sentence there. The unjustified absence of traditional rulers would immediately be subjected to a request for explanation, meaning that if a chief is not present, it's normal that the DO should ask the chief, but why were you absent? Were you threatened by separatists not to be there? Are you scared not to be there, that maybe after you'll be attacked? Because we've seen that in other areas. Or do you have problem of transportation that you could not make it? Those are the various things we should see, not just to have that negative impression. So those that are not there, if they are sick, they will be able to tell the DO that I was sick, I can't make it. So all I'm saying is that this sentence should be considered. The unjustified absence. If a chief is absent, a leader of a traditional people, it's normal that they ask him to explain.
They should be disciplined.
No, that's why I say we skip the one which talk about explain, and we jump on that of we jump and stay on that of discipline.
If the chief
now
felt that, because we are talking about a civic right.
Yes.
You have a right, you have a latitude to execute it or not.
It is a right to the chief and a responsibility to the chief, because they are auxiliary of the state. So don't boycott that. It is a right and it's their responsibility to be there. They are auxiliaries of the state, which means that they are there to support the divisional officers to ensure that the event goes on well, naturally. That's the way of auxiliary of the state. They are there to assist those dues. So it is normal that
the chiefs who were there, we've listened to some of them talk. How did they assist in the smooth functioning of the celebrations?
Good. When we talk about them, they are chiefs. They participate in the mobilization of their people to ensure that they should come together and celebrate. It is a national day. Now, what I'm saying is that when there is a problem with this document, I accept that there is a problem with this document. The problem in this document is about the tone used by the administrator. We cannot he has not committed a crime, yes, because this goes now with morality and ethic, the way you address traditional rulers, you understand. But there is no article of the law that will quote here that he was wrong, because he has that sole power to invite traditional
What article
rulers.
of the law says that every traditional ruler has to be present at a national event?
Pardon?
Which article of the law states that?
That's why I am explaining to you that him inviting them is an invitation. No, they had their invitation. We cannot use this to start talk about article. This is an internal document between the DO and the SDO. So please, 1 second. What we should know is that before we talk about those that who face disciplinary, we should know that there is a phrase that talk about those that cannot justify their absence. And when they say face disciplinary, it does not mean they will call them to sanction them. That is not still what the document says. The document says that if they don't give an explanation, a disciplinary file will be opened and sent to the hierarchy, because the DO himself know that he cannot sanction them. Even the SDO knows that he does not have the capacity to sanction a third-class chief. So the information says here that a disciplinary file will be sent to the hierarchy. Not that there will be sanction, not that there will be discipline or punish. They just said a file will be sent to the hierarchy. So we should be able to analyze this the way it is and inform the Cameroonian people.
Yes. Was there real need for the senior divisional officer to call on the traditional rulers to be present, physically present at this ceremony?
Certainly not. I want to say that I'm appalled listening to Malangfe. You know, I don't know why he's going back and forth. and suddenly he's off and on. But I think he's struggling to put out some points that are irrelevant with respect to the unconstitutional call made by the senior divisional officer for FAKO to chiefs. And the first remark I had on this was, why FAKO? We have over 6 divisions in the Southwest region. And for several years, we have had FAKO being on the spotlight. Before the senior divisional officer, we had the governor himself some years ago, where he called on the chiefs to participate. And to an extent, they were requested to raise placards, perhaps indicating their villages as was required by the governor. But what is most important is that the senior divisional officer for FAKO ought to have known by now that that call by the governor, who is above him, was rubbished by the chiefs because they did not respect what the governor said. So I don't know exactly what he was looking at, but I want to say that this is happening. I'm going to earmark a couple of persons and institutions that are principally the cause of this. The first thing is what I said somewhere, that the trading and buying of titles would cause you to earn respect or earn disrespect. The trading and buying of titles. The proliferation of villages within the Boya subdivision and FAKO in general, with some villages having been suspended.
Yeah, that's not. No.
I'm coming. Please. Let me say this.
No.
I want to give you the foundation.
G, please. I don't want us to go into that. Is a different topic.
Okay.
The issue is, was it necessary?
When every anniversary is an opportunity to reward loyalty, Orange is here to celebrate its 25th anniversary with all Cameroonians. Many prizes to win for the occasion, tourism trips, latest smartphones, and lots of other surprises. Quick, subscribe to Orange Bonus on #111*1# or via the Maxit app. Gather a max of points and try to win great prizes. Orange is here.
Of course, you need to know that once you have skeleton in your cupboard, someone is going to climb on you. The person could either use that to blackmail you or would use that to have you controlled. Now, the document first in its place was wrong, in the sense that it was not in the place of the senior divisional officer for FAKO to call on the chiefs to be present at the grandstand. In the document, like Malamfe said, that disciplinary measures, and he goes further to say the disciplinary measures will be determined by hierarchy. The question is, he did not stipulate who is going to carry out the disciplinary measures. But I want to say that if you were to look at the 2019 law that structured the regional councils, the House of Chiefs, and the House of the divisional representatives, you would understand that if you were to look at its Article 73, this is where the divisional officer seemingly thinks that he has some power, wherein he could make certain decisions and speak. But what he fails to understand is that, as concerning the chiefs, he is not the person to tell the chiefs to be present or not. But what is happening, particularly in Boya, where this seemingly had a backlash, because if you observe, we did not get the microphones, from the chiefs in Meme. We got the microphone from the chiefs in FAKO Boya in particular. Now remember that the House of Chiefs, now get this right please, the House of Chiefs does not represent only the chiefs of Boya. But, I'm coming please, but the document that was written by Chief Atem Ebako, who is the Vice President of the Regional Council and the President of the House of Chiefs, inherently the law that sets up that institution says that the vice president must be the president of the chiefs. Therefore, he would be the head of the House of Chiefs. So he was not looking at this with regards to the fact that he is a chief per se, but he was looking at it from his office also, that this statement came from the senior divisional officer for FAKO, calling on the chiefs in FAKO to be present, without which there will be a sanction. Now, he did not put the exact sanction. When you say disciplinary measures, you discipline somebody when the person must have actually acted or traversed to a particular law in place. The question is, what law would the chief violate?
They did not say they will sanction chief.
What law would the chief violate?
They said that
what law would the chief violate?
Sent to the hierarchy.
No, what law?
Talk about,
a disciplinary file is constituted when you acted or traversed to a particular existing law.
Not say they were
no, you don't get it. You can
they
only
say there
is no law.
He said their file will be sent to the disciplinary file will be sent to the hierarchy.
What disciplinary file?
That they will sanction the chief
question
for being
is,
absent.
the chiefs are not acting or traversed to a particular law. It is very important, Malamfe, to note that the chiefs are not acting or traversed to a particular law that mandated them to be present at the grandstand on the 20th of May.
Did we need to, because when you listen to the chiefs, they say it is their civic responsibility. They have been doing this since the 1970s. They've never failed to be there. Did the SDO need to remind them to be there?
I think it's as a result of the crisis that we are seeing these for time immemorial. We've been seeing chiefs actively participating on state events, especially when it comes to National Day and Youth Day celebration in Cameroon. In all of my years in the Southwest region, I was born in Munya, and all of the time that I participated in the National Youth Day celebration, whether it's mountain race, whichever event which is of national interest, the chief always come out in their numbers without reminders. But this time around, it is, since the crisis started, it actually became a kind of a tit for tat, where chiefs are called upon to encourage their people to come out to send a strong message that they are together with the administration. However, I think that letter, whether my good friend Kedia said it was not supposed to be on social media or it was a private letter or not, but let's look at the content of the letter, which I think that to me it's actually a problem, and also comes to question the issue that we talk about, the effective or accelerated decentralization and this rule of separation of power. And because if you look at that letter, I'll begin by first calling my good friend Kedia to understand that when you write a document with full capital letters, it shows authority and warning. Now, in that regard, it means that there is something in question. And secondly, I want to think that the chiefs are the first institution before the creation of modern day state. Before the creation of modern day state that we have, which you can say, okay, the state of Cameroon, the state of Nigeria, these chiefs are the first people to establish political institutions and institutions that govern according to their tradition, which has been there since before Cameroon existed. In fact, Boya has been there before the existence of Cameroon as a state, before the constitution of the nation. Munya has been there before. And now when we come to this aspect where you see this letter coming out, and it is now bringing us the issue of how much respect do we accord to our traditional rulers. And if you look at what was actually written in the letter, I still want to go by the phrase. Let me cue up from where my brother Kedia said that unjustified absences of a traditional ruler will immediately be subjected to a request for explanation, one which is called in French demand explication or a query letter, in human resource query letter. And if that ended there, it would have been good. But now they say, and a disciplinary file will be sent to hierarchy. That will be sent to hierarchy, treat as imperative and end. Now, when you use the word disciplinary, in context, all of us here have phones. If you Google the word disciplinary, it means that there must be a law that you have actually violated, which subjects you to either an issue of disciplinary action or not. Now, if you look at all this, it means that they are asking the question, what law, like you said, did they violate? Either the law from the regional assembly that said that they must actually be there, or which law did they violate? And also, who is the person who is coming to enforce this disciplinary action? So if you look at all this, therefore, you are asking yourself that what law did they violate? And I want to cue in with what Mr. Angie said. The chiefs need to be respected in all fairness. These are men and women who are representing the tradition. And if you ask, said a disciplinary file will be sent to them.
Let's take a break. We're coming right back.
So if you say a disciplinary disciplinary file will be sent to them, it now bring us to the question. Let's look at the regional assembly. Which law did they violate that a file will be sent? Disciplinary. The word disciplinary. I am not looking at unjustified. I'm looking at the word disciplinary. So I strongly believe that the senior divisional officer ought to have just do a phone call and ask if these persons have challenges. Like he just said, that maybe it's to explain whether they have challenges. But if they have challenges, why don't you call them? Why do you request for a query? It's a query letter. In human resources, consider that as a query letter. That you issue a query letter and they will explain. If it's not satisfied, their document will be sent to a disciplinary committee. We should look upon it. So to me, I think that we must respect the chiefs in whether it is whichever area they are in Cameroon. All chiefs are number one before the existence of this state. And like I always say before, that the chiefs, and I love the response that was given by the president of the Southwest Chief Conference, Atemebako. I mean, the response given by Mr. Atemebako, the letter that was given, the letter that he sent, which was clear. The chief are auxiliary. Auxiliary simply means to do a phone call in Arcadia. There's a phone call. You can actually write to them privately. The SDO have their numbers. Write to them privately. Your Highness, if it is to prove what you said, that maybe they have challenges. Your Highness, is there any challenge? This is not the first time. In 2018, we had the same situation where I attended one of the meetings, and the chiefs were told that if you fail to march in 2018, before 20th May 2018, that was around the 18th of May 2018, those who attended that meeting, I will not call the office, who know that the chiefs were told, the chiefs who are still alive know. I went there with a chief who died, who asked me to accompany him. Now they were told that if they don't have their placard indicating their villages, that they will be removed and other chiefs will be put there. Okay. Yeah. So this is not the first time.
Please, I really don't want us to go stray away from what we are discussing. I simply ask whether there was need for them to be reminded. We have listened to the chiefs themselves who said they were taken aback and that there was no need to be reminded because this is what they have been doing since. You want to add something?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still saying is that they didn't demand them to be there. This document is internal. What all the chief of FAKO received was just an invitation. The same invitation that was given to Imam, the same invitation that was given to the bishop, the same invitation that was given to other institutions. They received invitation. This document remained an internal document from the SDO to the DO. And we should not focus only in Boya or in Limbe. We should know that there is a subdivision of Moyoka, Ekona, and the rest.
But that's
that's FAKO. Yeah. Where they have problems because some people are focusing only on Boya. It's not about Boya. It's about FAKO. Where you go to Moyoka, there are problems. There are villages still there in Moyoka that the crisis, of course, still have an effect. And I still want to say this: the document says that the unjustified chief's absence, their file will be sent to the hierarchy.
there was nothing there as measure will be taken against them. The way my co-panelist said, there is nothing on this document that disciplinary decisions will be taken against the chiefs. When you come and you say this on air, and those that are misinterpreting this on social media are the one creating anger to the chief.
When you send the file from Yaoundé, isn't that the measure? Do you know what
when you say measure will be taken against them?
What is a measure?
What is against what
the measure taken against them is
their file is sent to Yaoundé. What has been taken against them?
What measure?
Yeah,
what measure?
If your file is taken, when your file is taken, when your file is taken to Yaoundé, don't mean you are guilty. When you say measure will be taken against them, you are talking about sanction.
Let us listen to this this note that came from the president of the House of Chiefs. The president to the senior divisional officer Limbe, FAKO Division, Southwest Region, Republic of Cameroon. Subject: wrongful portrayal of traditional rulers. Sir, I, Dr. Chief Atemibako, in my capacity as the president of the House of Chiefs, Southwest Regional Assembly, wish to draw your attention to your hand message addressed to all FAKO divisional officers relating to the celebration of the 53rd edition of the National Unity Day on May 20th, 2025. In the message, you are asking them to ensure the effective presence of all traditional rulers of their respective jurisdictions in the grandstands. So far, so good, Mr. Senior Divisional Officer for FAKO. However, Mr. Senior Divisional Officer, you unfortunately crossed the red line when you very rudely and callously states that any absent traditional ruler shall be disciplined. That is
I
from
hope
the
you
chief.
now get it.
That is from.
I am talking about what the SDO says, not what the chief says. I did not see it in the document.
Please, I'm still reading. Indeed,
that's what the chief said. Not the
SDO. Please, indeed, I find the above statement not only very frustrating but disparaging to the status, divine honor and dignity of the traditional rulers, not only of the FAKO division but of the whole Southwest region. But because of the unique and sacred importance of our National Unity Day, when every Cameroonian should show love, peace to one another, I would have asked you to apologize to the traditional rulers. However, I strongly urge you to refrain from being insolent and disrespectful to the institution of the traditional ruler. That is yours sincerely, the President of the House of Chiefs, His Royal Majesty, Dr. Chief Atemibako Bison Andrew. Anything wrong with this response?
Yes. He talked about sanction taken against chiefs, whereas with the document of the SDO, I have not seen sanctions taken against chiefs. I saw, but they are file being sent to the hierarchy. So that's one thing that we should know about it. And it is from this statement that he's talking about sanction of. I have respect for chiefs. I'm just analyzing administrative documents, so I don't have problems with FAKO chief. I respect all the chiefs. That's one thing that I want to be clear with. Now, when you look at the response of the chief, he made them to understand that disciplinary sanctions will be taken against them. But the DO did not say that. The DO said that their disciplinary file will be sent to the hierarchy.
Now, let me come. He says that the unjustified absence of a traditional ruler will immediately be subjected to a request for explanation, which means that request for explanation and a disciplinary file will be sent to hierarchy. Yes, but is there?
Did not talk about them being sanctioned. I am analyzing the word.
That is not the analysis of that word. Please permit me say this.
Can I go further?
You wouldn't say that.
Now I said that that tone is wrong. To our chiefs, it is wrong.
The focus is not
excuse me, please. Let me come.
Of that word.
Please. When they tell you that if you cannot justify your presence at the grandstand,
yes,
a disciplinary file is going to be opened against you.
Correct.
And that file is going to be sent to the hierarchy. What does that mean?
It simply means that they will do investigation to know why you are absent, because you can have a reason on when they say your file will be sent to the hierarchy, it does not mean that you will be sanctioned. It's the hierarchy that will decide if you are guilty to be sanctioned or if there is any law against you to be sanctioned. So there is nothing that says that they will be sanctioned. I see say it from the SGO's document. There is nothing that says that, but their file will be sent up. But it did not say that they will be sanctioned.
There are
two
not
things
a
different.
smiley file, a disciplinary file
will be sent. It's different. The chief should have said that.
Wow.
The chief should have said that. The issue he talked about discipline, which I myself am against. Talking about discipline of chief. They are not children. They are not primary school kids. That he should talk about discipline as if they are children.
Okay.
So at that level, I agree that the tone is not correct. But we should not say that the SGO said they will be sanctioned. He just said their file will be sent to Yaoundé.
Their disciplinary file.
Then let me go further again with another word again used by the president of the House of Chiefs, which we should see into it.
The vice president.
The vice president of the assembly and the president of the House of Chiefs.
Yeah.
That's what I said, the president of the House of Chiefs. Let's listen to this. However, Mr. SDO, you unfortunately crossed the red line when you very rudely and callously, the chief was not supposed to use this terminology to the SDO. Rudely and callously. We all know the definition of rudely and callously.
No,
you don't insult an administrator like that.
No, it is.
I still say that I have respect for the chief, so I am just analyzing administrative documents.
Please.
Now, it is obvious that according to the senior divisional officer for FAKO, the objective of that word, a disciplinary file. We should not mince words. We should not try to philosophize on things that do not require it. As simple as it is, Malamfe, you are a teacher. And I want to put it to you that when you tell your learner that I will discipline you, you are not telling the learner that I will love you. You are telling your learner that something other than care, concern. I'm coming. Please.
I will open your disciplinary file is different from I will discipline you. There are two things different.
Now take note.
I will open your disciplinary file is different from I will discipline you.
It is not.
We should not mix words.
The
SDO
does not have the competence to call the chiefs to order. That's the first.
Very correct. That's why he said it to his hierarchy.
The SDO does not have the competence to write to hierarchy.
Why?
If the chiefs
he cannot write his hierarchy,
decide not to enjoy their civic right. We are talking about the right of an individual when he decides not to enjoy.
It's a decision of somebody to write to the hierarchy. It's not a decision.
We are talking about a right not to enjoy. There are other things the SDO should write to hierarchy for.
You now decide what the SDO should write to his hierarchy.
There are chiefs who barely see electricity in their villages for 1 year. There are chiefs who do not have farm to market roads. There are chiefs whose villages does not even have a school. There are chiefs whose villages does not have a hospital. There are chiefs who do not even have the requisite security for they to move. These are things the SDO should be concerned about. It is not for the SDO to compel a chief to be present on the grandstand on May 20th. When it is a day that I may decide to be present or not. The SDO is mandated to be present, not the chief. On the other hand, the SDO should be happy. When we say the chiefs are the auxiliary of the administration, we are not saying that the chiefs are subject to the SDO. The chiefs long existed, their chiefdoms long existed before the creation of the office of the SDO.
Before even the state, the
before the state. So it is important for us to note that we cannot rubbish our traditional rulers because we have administrators who think that because they have been appointed by the president whom the chiefs took part in electing, it calls for the SDO to disrespect them.
Okay.
I go with what the president of the House of Chiefs said, that the SDO should write an apology letter.
No, he did not say that. He did not say that. Right.
Yeah, he said because we are within the celebration of this day. Otherwise, in language, we should be very careful. Otherwise, I would have requested for you this, which means I am waiving the national day, but your action requires an apology.
That is basically what it
He
is.
said he could have asked, but he did not ask.
There is no other way the action requires an apology.
It requires
That's
an
your
apology.
interpretation.
It requires an apology.
Was this a reaction by the president of the House of Chiefs very timely and also necessary?
It was timely. Remember that we have been talking about this issue about the regional assembly, the special status, how people need to take ownership of the office given to them, and they should not just wait for the fact that they should not just be passive. And you know, you are seeing a president of the House of Chiefs trying to protect his subject, because he's taking stray bullets now for trying to protect his subject and for trying to defend the institution. And so it is timely. And this also goes a long way to explain to other leaders who are in different offices that they should actually not be subjected to a person, but they should be subjected to what the rule of law states. We're in a state of law. We keep saying that nobody's above the law and no one is below the law. And let me remind my brother Kedia that let us look at the contextual definition of disciplinary. I have gone back to the dictionary and I want to read it out because we are educating Cameroonians. I see said that Cameroonians are watching. And if you say, I am speaking under the cover as a human resource person and also as a journalist, if you look at the word unjustified, in any work environment, we call that query letter. If we give you a query letter, you tell us why were you not there, and if it is not satisfied, the immediate phrase followed by disciplinary action, which means that you'll be sanctioned.
They did not say disciplinary action.
No,
they said disciplinary fine. Don't put action.
I'm
People are putting what you inflame this
I'm
thing.
not talking about that letter. I'm talking about what we do in human resource. That if we say you are supposed to give explain 1 or 2 why you were not there within 24 hours, and if it is not satisfiable, we'll say in that query letter will state why this company should not discipline you or sack you. Now, which means that there is a law you have violated in the company. That is why we are requesting that you should explain. Now, in disciplinary, Mr. Kedia, if they say disciplinary file will be sent, which means that disciplinary measures refers to corrective action taken by an organization to address unwanted behavior or performance issued among employees. These measures aim to correct and improve employees' behavior rather than simply punishing them. The goal of this is to ensure that employees or workers live to the rule established by the organization, and if they fail to do that, they will be sanctioned. That's the meaning of disciplinary. And these have different measures: verbal warning, written warning, loss of privileges, performance improvement, retaining, demotion, temporary pay cut, and you can name the rest. That is the meaning of disciplinary. That's why I say let me go in context. Whether you say no, disciplinary, they will not be sanctioned, you are a pedagogue. And I bet you, when we are calling a child for discom, what we call discom, it means that there is a law within the institution. No, when we say disciplinary, when I say disciplinary, the word, I'm using the word disciplinary, it is there in the letter, the word disciplinary. And that's why we are saying that. And that's why I'm applauding the reaction of the president of the House of Chiefs.
It's surprised that
it is
maybe the SDO simply would have said the file will be constituted against you and forwarded to hierarchy.
Not using the word disciplinary. They are not children. They are auxiliary, like G said. Before the existence of Cameroon, German Cameroon, that land has been there, and the chief has been there. We had Kuba Likinya has been there. Other chiefs have been there before the existence of the modern day state. And that is why you see that letter say that unwarranted behavior or the response to the president of House of Chiefs, he said red line, because these are institutions that have been there since from time immemorial and who have been, there's no activity that you will not see the chiefs in FAKO. Let me cue to when G saying we should be worried about chiefs that don't have electricity in their villages. My 16 has been there for over 8 months, 1 year without electricity. We should be worried. The businesses of that area is affected, and so the chief is affected. We should be worried with chief who don't have security.
Kuna State for years.
How much security do they have?
Yes, at this juncture, let us listen to the chiefs themselves react away from the reaction from the president. Let's get the chiefs who were at the ceremonial ground yesterday react to the letter that was issued, the message that came from the senior divisional officer.
No, it's a civic duty. The chiefs have always been participating in this event since the 70s. And then, so this year was not a special year. The chiefs have never boycotted this event for any other reason that I know. So we enjoy coming here. We have always been part of nation building of this country. and it's a civic responsibility, and we enjoy the day-to-day very, very much. Well, I read the message with a little bit of consternation, because I know that as somebody who loves his country, we don't need to be reminded to come to this annual ceremony of showing a unity for the country. So I was taken a little bit aback, but the SDO is the SDO, and I am a chief. I'll do my job, let him do his own job. If I'm not the SDO, so he wrote it in his own dimension. If I was the SDO, maybe I would have written it different, but I'm a chief, and he's doing his job, and I do my own job. But like I said, no regular Cameroonian, no regular patriot needs to be reminded to come out to celebrate the National Day of our country.
But it depends on how we do it. But worse still, some people may not be able to come. Don't produce anything that goes in the wrong way, talking about discipline. Those are not words to be used during a National Unity Day.
That was just the President of the House of Chiefs, Dr. Dr. Ebako, saying that there was no need to use the word discipline as if you're talking to children, but the paramount ruler of Boya says that he was taken aback because they really do not need to be reminded to do what they have been doing.
Yes, as I earlier said, is that almost all the chiefs, if not all, I repeat, they are not happy with the tone of the message of the SDO. The tone, they don't find it respectful. But does the SDO have the right to ask them to be present? Yes. But their point now is the tone used and the word discipline. My point here is that the word discipline, people have used it in different ways to say that there will be sanctions. Measures will be taken. Even on this platform, my brother here said measures will be taken against them. It is not in that document. The document is that their disciplinary file will be open. I concur with the chief that says they don't like the tune, accept with them. But Mr. Leonard, there's a question, there's something here that beats my imagination. There is an association of FAKO chiefs. They are silent. There's an association of Southwest chiefs. They are silent. I'll take especially that of the association of FAKO chiefs. Why are they silent? They didn't enjoy the tone. Why are they silent? They are just questions I'm asking.
No, but
it should be noted that I am not here.
The paramount chief who just spoke is in FAKO. He's in FAKO.
I am not the bone. He's the paramount chief of FAKO. I said the association. Is he the head of the association? We should not mix things.
Why would the association speak when the Southwest chief president has spoken? Why?
Huh?
Why would this association speak when the president of the Southwest chief conference, the Southwest chief, has spoken?
You are mixing words. You are talking about the Southwest chief conference, or are you talking about the House of Chief?
The House of Chief. Why would they? Why
don't mix this association.
Let me go by House of.
Pay your taxes and custom fees at Express Exchange. The solution is close to you. Enter an Express Exchange agency, head to the cash register with your tax notice, and make your payment of tax and custom fees with ease. Receive a confirmation receipt. So cool, Mula. Yes, Mula. From now on, I pay my taxes and custom fees at Express Exchange. It's simple. Express Exchange, partner of the Guild and the Directorate General of Taxation. Express Exchange, number one in quality service in Cameroon.
That I still stand on it. The tone of the SDO was not good to our chief. That's my point. What I am interpreting now with this communique.
Okay.
I've not even spoken. I was talking.
No. Yes. You have been speaking for long.
No, he spoke.
Go now. Go on.
He was the one talking.
Go on.
Now, why are you laughing?
Well,
okay. No, don't make mockery of such a big problem. People are in their house and you're laughing and mocking at them. No. All right. Permit me to go further.
Please.
No.
Go on.
I just asked a question that the FAKO chiefs were silenced, and that of the assembly, the regional association, they were silent, which for me is a problem because they were supposed to talk, because I agree with them that the tone used was not okay. My point is that let people don't add words into the DO's communique, and people should know that it's an internal document, and the invitation that were sent to these chiefs, nothing was there that talk about sanction, because all the chiefs, they received their invitation to go to the grandstand. And to conclude again, I still say it again, the president of the House of Chiefs came out and spoke. It's very good. He has the right to come out and talk on behalf of the chiefs. 100% correct. But I see also say that they are also their tone also used by the president of the House of Chiefs, of course, has a lot of anger, like calling an SGO rudely and callous. When we are criticizing that your tone SGO was not correct, we should also have that moral value to also say that, Chief, how can you call the SGO rudely and callous? That's my point. When we are here to analyze, if someone is wrong, we say, yes, this one you are wrong, this one you are wrong. SGO, your tone was harsh. President of the House of Chiefs calling the SGO rudely and callous, I don't think that is morally right. That's my point.
After the outing of the president of the House of Chiefs for the Southwest region, the president of the Regional Assembly also made an outing which has been making rounds on social media and other media platforms, which I am going to read. The president to the vice president of the Southwest Regional Executive Council and president of the Southwest House of Chiefs. Subject, letter of observation. Your Majesty, today 19th, that was day before yesterday, May 2025, the eve of our National Day celebrations, I stumbled through social media on your correspondence dated 19th of May 2025, addressed to the Senior Divisional Officer for FAKO Division. In the said correspondence, you challenged the authority of the Senior Divisional Officer to insist on the effective presence of all the traditional rulers within this area of jurisdiction at various ceremonial grounds during the National Day celebrations on the 20th of May 2025. Much as we respect and recognize traditional rulers as custodians of the tradition of our people, they remain an integral part of the Republican setup, and in that capacity are auxiliaries of the administration. The rationale of the Senior Divisional Officer's message to divisional officers of FAKO Division is to remind traditional rulers within his area of jurisdiction of their Republican duty and responsibility to participate in the National Day celebrations. In your capacity as President of the Southwest House of Chiefs, you could have added your voice to that of the administrator by urging your colleagues across the region to turn out massively to give our National Day the grandeur it deserves. Unfortunately, by your correspondence, you are combating global states and collective efforts to bring back normalcy to our beloved region. I have repeatedly said that the Southwest Regional Assembly is a bicameral assembly with two houses, the House of Chiefs and the House of Divisional Representatives. The only interlocutor between the Regional Assembly and the outside world is the President of the Regional Assembly, President of the Regional Executive Council, nothing more, nothing less. Writing on the official headed paper of the Southwest Regional Assembly without the knowledge and consent of the President on a sensitive issue of that nature is not only misrepresentative of the Southwest Regional Assembly, but equally and above all violates Section 312 sub 1 of the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities, as well as previous calls to order vis-à-vis public declarations and correspondences from the Regional Assembly. It is no gainsay that since its creation, the Southwest Regional Assembly has spared no effort to place its own peace-building blocks on a global effort to bring back lasting peace and normalcy in our region. Your letter, which has already gone viral on social media, is very misrepresentative of the Southwest Regional Assembly. Consequently, the Southwest Regional Assembly dissociates itself from the content of your letter dated 19 May 2025, addressed to the Senior Divisional Officer for FAKO, signed by the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly. Yes.
Yeah. In a nutshell, the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly presented to the public that he is the only voice as concerning the letterhead of that institution. That is why he says he is the only interlocutor between the Regional Assembly and the outside world, which of course, this came on the heels of the letterhead. Otherwise, if the President of the Southwest House of Chiefs had used the letterhead of the House of Chiefs, definitely there wouldn't have been a statement as concerning that I am the only person to speak. Howbeit, he fails to understand that if you go to Article 380 or Section 360 of the law setting up the regional council and talking about the special status of the Northwest and Southwest region, it is the same law. You would have noticed that the Vice President of the Regional Assembly, by that law, is stated that it must be the President of the House of Chiefs. So, Chief Ateme Bako, in this case, by that particular article, was not only speaking, he was equally speaking as an authority of the region.
I want us to clarify something.
Yes.
The President of the Regional House of Assembly talks about there is a letterhead that was used. But when you look at this, these are two letterheads, because this one carries, this one says Republic of Cameroon, Peacework Fatherland, Southwest Region, Southwest Regions, Regional Assembly, Southwest Regional Executive Council, Cabinet. It ends there. But this other letterhead says Republic of Cameroon, Southwest Region, Southwest Regional Assembly, House of Chiefs. Can we say that he may not know that the House of Chiefs may have something? Because the House of Chiefs is an integral part of
the Regional Assembly.
So
which
they have done this, but the letterhead carries House of Chiefs. I will look at PO Box and the phone numbers. They are different from what here. Can we say that maybe he did not know that these guys also have a letterhead that is separate?
Well,
maybe they just saw this logo and then concluded.
Probably he got it from the logo, then he got it from where it ended with the Regional Assembly, but did not see below
the House of Chiefs.
The House of Chiefs, and he reacted. Probably
because we are talking about. Yes. Otherwise, please. We are talking about letterheads. This is a letterhead, and this is a letterhead. This one does not. This one carries House of Chiefs. This one does not.
So he falsely accused the President of the House of Chiefs with regards to what he wrote, because he called on him and told him that I am the only person who communicates. I am the only person who speaks with any other institution out there with authority.
By quoting a disposition of the law.
Quoting, and that was a misrepresentation of that particular law, because it did not suit the context in which that action.
But you cannot also master the how that house functions. They who are managing it.
But what is most important here is that quoting that particular law is citing the aspect of the letterhead, presenting a situation that because the letterhead is a unit of analysis. So he is looking at it from the letterhead, giving the impression that a letterhead of the Southwest Regional Assembly was used by the Southwest House of Chiefs without the authority from the Southwest Regional Assembly, whom he is, and calling on the Southwest Chiefs, President of the House of Chiefs, telling him that it is all about bringing peace and order. Please, this is very important. The chiefs coming out on 20th of May does not connote peace. It is not an automatic call to peace. It is not an automatic call to normalcy.
Yeah, but to some extent, to some extent, no, their presence also shows that things are moving towards.
No, it is not the presentation of their presence. Going by what Kezia presented here on the what he calls internal letter, which of course I wanted to say that when the invitations were printed, such letters did not follow the imam. Such letters did not follow the bishops and the pastors. Such
How
letters.
did you know it's an internal letter that goes
no. It's important. It's important. It's important.
But it's also important.
Yes, it's important.
Please, but it's also important to note that imams are not auxiliaries of the administration, as well as the bishops. Please,
no,
that. So this letter followed because these guys are our majesties are auxiliaries of the administration.
Yes, they are auxiliaries of the administration. Why, yes. We know Lord telling them that you are compelled to be here now. And another thing, please, before you go further, is that you listened to the regional president. He quoted a particular law from the regional court, but the DO did not give you any reference of a law. There was no mindful of, as usual.
Now we are looking,
if you go to what he wrote, you will not get any mindful of this.
We are looking
mindful of this. No, I'm looking at that. So you must shuttle between those documents to understand
I started
the
with this message from the divisional officer. I went to that of the president of the House of Chiefs,
and we are now on that of the president of the regional assembly.
So we are looking at the response to this response. Was to this the president of
he quoted a particular law from the regional court, but failed that particular law does not suit the context for one reason.
No, you do not work there.
No, it's important. Why?
No,
why?
You don't work there. No, you are not teaching them.
No, it's important. It's important. Why? The president of the House of Chiefs did not say he was speaking when he wrote that letter to the SDO. He did not say, I am writing to you as the vice president of the regional assembly. He said, I am writing to you as the president of the House of Chiefs.
Okay.
It says, let me read it.
It says, sir, I, Dr. Chief Atemebako, in my capacity as the president of the House of Chiefs, Southwest Regional Assembly.
Great.
He makes it clear.
Yeah, so he was very categorical that I am not writing to you as the vice president. I am writing to you as the president. Now, inherently, or inadvertently, he is actually the vice president based on a particular law that is equally put in place. So I think the president of the regional assembly apparently was looking at the president of the House of Chiefs as per that document as his subordinate or as vice president, which was absolutely wrong. And again, of course, with all of these in-house and documents that are circulating, there is an institution. The Office of the Independent Conciliator has said nothing, which of course, perhaps we'll be looking at it subsequently, because as per law that created that particular office, they are to look at issues that concerns this. So we should remember that the chiefs are not the ones to bring the normalcy the president of the regional assembly is portraying. Yeah, but he is trying to paint the chiefs.
They have a role like yourself.
They have a role. But this is what I have to say, Mr. Kum. That particular document is giving the impression that the chiefs are automatically members of the non-state armed groups. With that presentation.
No, please.
It is derogatory. Please. He cannot say that.
Please. We should be responsible. Let us not incite. I don't know. Please.
No,
there is no. Please don't leak this. There is no way. Why are you wanting to leak it that is not what he said.
No, when you say, take for example, if you tell me that I live in the Southwest region and I did not show up on May 20th when we are trying to bring about peace, you are on the other hand, you are saying that I am the cause for the peace that is not existing.
They may be threatened now. That's what I earlier said.
Which is wrong.
Please let us calm down. I want to read some paragraphs from the president of the House of Chiefs. Kedia, I want you to listen to this. He says, Assembly, we should draw your attention to your hand message addressed to the FAKO divisional officers. That is the president of the House of Chiefs. He says, in the message, you are asking them to ensure effective presence of all traditional rulers of their respective jurisdictions in the grandstands. However, Mr. SDO, you unfortunately crossed the red line when you very rudely and callously state that any absent traditional ruler shall be disciplined. Indeed, I find the above statement not only very frustrating but disparaging to the status, divine honor and dignity of traditional rulers. That is, he says that traditional rulers have divine honor, that is, comes from God. They are coming from God, and they have dignity. But the president of the Regional Assembly says that much as we respect and recognize traditional rulers as custodians of the tradition of our people, they remain an integral part of the Republican setup. In that capacity, are auxiliaries of the administration. The president of the House of Chiefs sees them as divinely ordained to be there. But the president of the Regional Assembly says, you are custodians of tradition and everything, but you are also, he's reminding him that you people are part of the auxiliary. Is there a tussle of power where the president of the chiefs sees their position as after God, it is they who are there, but the president of the Regional Assembly says, you guys, you are chiefs, but
you are subordinate to the administration.
No, to him. You come in.
I hope that you will not say I'm laughing at you.
Come in.
No, I say you're laughing at the viewers, disrespecting them.
Okay, what is
happening?
Happening this, when you look at that which you have read, is reminding us that there is a power tussle somewhere. There's an imbalance somewhere of power. And I'm happy these things are happening. You see, conflict is part of life. And conflict is an opportunity for people to understand each other and clarity be given as per how things are supposed to be done. Now that this thing has happened, it will be good in future. You will see some amelioration of the law and some clarity will be given, because we are still new in this whole decentralization, special status. We are still new. Errors will be made. People who actually make errors which is probably not in their line of duties and so on. But now if you look at this, the divine honor and now the auxiliary to the administration, the chiefs have not said, His Majesty Atemi Bako did not say that they are not part of this government or part of he did not say that they are not people, they are not away from the government. He said they are part of the government and that they don't need to be reminded. But now if you look at what the Regional Assembly President is saying, that in as much as you have your divine power, you should know that you are auxiliary to the administration, which you are subjected to the authority of the SDO, which you should instead join him to say that, let us mobilize effectively for the celebration of the National Youth Day. And I want
20th of May.
A National Youth Day, which is National Day rather, 20th of May. And I want to say that, yes, the chiefs play a key role in terms of building peace in our communities. Whether we like it or not, they have a contributive factor. Yeah, I will agree with KJ to some extent that they have a contributive factor in restoring peace in their respective area, because they have the voice and they can mobilize dance group to go and march under the. Not that there is no law that also stops a chief to mobilize his village to go and march on National Day to say that, okay, it is this village that's marching. No law. So they also have that right to say, okay, well, let's mobilize our village to show the support of the state that, you know what, in as much as this is happening in this region, we are suddenly behind to pass a message. However, I would say that the president of the Regional Assembly, I may not know more than him, but I'm looking at in context. What we are doing here is called content analysis. As a social scientist, we are analyzing the content of what is before us. And I want to say that if we look at the letter, that the two letters, first the logo they are separate logos. Now the question maybe in future the House of Chiefs will have to change the central logo, because what is seemingly confusing, because as face value you may just see, without looking at the Peace Walk for the Land at this end, the House of Chiefs, you may just see thinking that it is the Regional Assembly. So maybe in future the House of Chiefs should have a logo that talks about House of Chiefs, which gives it a clarity, because it is an institution. Remember that the president of the Regional Assembly is not the one that actually can have a full discussion with the chiefs, because the chiefs have their ngombas that they discuss, which the president of the House of Chiefs is their boss in that area to see their complaint and channel it. That's why he's the vice president of the Regional Assembly. That's why he's the vice president. Now, This disagreement has come to make us understand that, number one, this logo issue, because a lot of people have not noticed what you just pointed out. It is not that many people, even myself, I did not actually take note of. I just saw that, I knew that we were the same logo. But it was actually, when you were reading, I said, but come to think of it, let me go and check it again. Then I realized that at the site, you have totally different side, which you have the House of Chiefs and the end. And also what we must also understand is that I agree with what the president of the Regional Assembly is talking about, mobilization to make sure that we celebrate and bring peace and normalcy in this area. But your excellency, please, we should also understand that Dr. Chief Atem was talking on behalf of the chiefs as a president of the House of Chiefs, not as a vice president. And this is where, as Nji said, that he may be looking at Chief Atem Ebako as the vice president of the Regional Assembly, but not as the president of the House of Chiefs. There's always that social conflict, and this thing is happening. I'm very happy that in their next session they will talk about this thing, because it will further give us clarity to know who is talking where. And my question, when you read the response of the president of the Regional Assembly, the question I asked myself was, does it mean that if something is happening within the level of the the president of the House of Chiefs does not have the authority to write a document and publish, that he must go back through the Regional Assembly and talk to the president of Regional Assembly, who is the interlocutor between the region and the outside world? That is the first question, which means that what is then the duty and responsibility of the president of the House of Chiefs? We should just, by that reading, it means that they should just remove the president of the House of Chiefs and just say it's a Regional Assembly made up of chiefs. Because it means that the president of the House of Chiefs does not have the power to speak on behalf of the chief to the outside world, going by that letter, which is clear. This thing, that's a unit analysis. Number two, does it mean that if, as a chief, let's say the chief of Moya or any other chief, see that something is wrong, that chief cannot speak to the outside world, that chief must pass now through the Regional Assembly, because there's a Regional Assembly? I'm just asking now, based on the letter. Based on the letter. So there are a lot of things that need clarification. Maybe His Excellency did not look at the fact that there are different logos. Because myself, I did not look at it to the extent now I'm looking at it.
Like he said, a hand letter on social media.
So, but again, there's a middle ground here. Let's not fail to look at the objective. You asked the question from the beginning, that why FAKO, and I want to answer the question.
Okay.
Why FAKO? Because it's a regional capital. And you saw, where the regional capital is, will always face a lot of pressure. Naturally. Because the eye of the nation is on the regional capital. If the regional capital was in Manfi, would have experienced this, because that is where they want to. All cameras were in Boya.
I thought it's some kind of joke.
No, that's what is happening in Douala.
Yes,
that's what is happening in Bamenda. That's what is happening in Yaoundé. The regional headquarters.
The regionality, it may be right or wrong. I'm just answering you.
Probably you're giving a probable reason.
Yes, I'm just asking you why. Because he that has power is given more, it's expected. And where the seat of the power is, like companies where the boss reside, there's pressure in that company. Unlike the other subsidiary branches, if the boss is not in the branch of Kumba, you not feel the pressure.
Yeah, but I think that
please, coming on this. Yes. Did we also need the president of the Regional Assembly to publicly dissociate the Regional Assembly from the outing of the president of the House of Chiefs?
Yes.
Which is an integral part of.
Yes. Why is it like that? It's because we have seen all the documents. We have all agreed that the SDO, the tone was harsh, where he talked of discipline, and all of them that disagree. But even here on the platform, my co-panelists don't want to accept the fact that the president of the House of Chiefs used this term,
callous.
When you very rudely and callously, that statement is challenging and insulting. We should also accept.
Yeah, but he existed before the office.
Too long cannot make a right.
We should respect that office.
So we should accept that the two of them are
divine ruler, a divine leader should be respected.
That's why we are having the problem.
They are God and them. before the
Can I talk?
administration.
Very soon, Mr. Kumle now asked me to stop. Permit me to talk.
Divine ruler should be
Permit me to
respected.
talk.
Please.
When two elders, I'm of the CPDM, I'm a communicator. I have that ability to say that the tone of the SDO was harsh. I still say it again. For the president of the House of Chiefs to use this word rudely and callous is also
we are
wrong.
We are now on the.
Yeah, I'm coming there. Now, when this problem comes in for telling the SDO that rude and callous, it can lead the House of Assembly to the administrative court for insulting and disrespecting an administrator. That is where now the president of the House of Assembly comes in to say that the logo you use in your communique is that of the assembly. The seal, no, there's a letterhead, there's a logo, and there's a seal. That's what makes it this an administrative document.
He talked of the letterhead. You are now adding Maggie and Pepper by saying the seal, the logo. Okay. He talked about the letterhead.
Let me explain what I'm explaining. According to him, from my sources, is that if the administrative court, if the SGO goes to the administrative court that he has been called rude and callous, it's enough for the DO to go. Why do we think that it is wrong for the DO to say disciplinary? We don't want also to accept too that the president of the House of Chiefs for using the word ruthless and callous too is not correct. Two wrongs don't make a right. If the two of them have made a right, we should be honest. If the two of them have made a wrong word, we should be honest, not to be hypocritic. If one has said discipline which we don't agree, we should also tell the other one that you went overboard to call the other person rude and callous. Let us analyze and give everybody's mistake. And now the president of the House of Assembly of Southwest point is that if now they are going to the administrative court, who will be responsible? Is it the president of the House of Chiefs, or it will be the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly? And now the point comes in, the seal, which is the most important thing on any document, was that of the Regional Assembly. The logo was that of the Regional Assembly before we are going to the letterhead. So according to the president of the House of Assembly, he looks that if this case is going to the administrative court, he will be responsible because he is the head of the Regional Assembly and he is the one that is having the executive power and is responsible for everything.
But the president actually he states very clearly that, sir, I, Dr. Chief Atemibaku, in my capacity as the president of the House of Chiefs. He says it very well. The letterhead carries House of Chiefs.
And
at the end
the logo,
please,
and the seal.
Please, you are adding what the president of the Regional Assembly.
It was expressed.
Please, the Regional Assembly talks. The president of the Regional Assembly talks of the letterhead.
People here were saying what they were thinking.
Please.
It's okay.
He talked
Let's
about,
stay now on the document.
He talked about letterhead, and it is there. The letterhead is the letterhead of the House of Chiefs. I'm sure the House of Chiefs is part of the Regional Assembly.
It's a subset.
Yes. Okay, but Southwest House of Chiefs, this is the stamp.
I'm talking about the seal, Mr. Kum. You know
Please.
the seal, right? The round one.
No, he says, I am writing on behalf. I write, and his
Mr. Kum,
his name stamp is there.
He said
the president of the House of Chiefs.
No,
the Southwest House of, this time is the Southwest House of Chiefs, the president.
Mr. Kum Leonard, he says that he's writing as the president of House of Chiefs.
So
he signed,
does
it does not change the fact that the seal that was used is the one of the Regional Assembly. The logo was that of the Regional Assembly.
Seal?
And if
what seal?
Is the Regional
the
Assembly?
seal is there, that's the seal. The round one is written in the Regional Assembly. Do you know the seal?
Please.
This is the seal.
Please.
The seal there is Regional Assembly and not House of Chiefs.
Please, is the House of Chiefs? Is the House of Chiefs not part of the Regional Assembly?
It is.
So
and
what
that
are you
is
talking
why
about?
the Joe is saying the president of the assembly is distancing himself, because if they are going to administrative court because of this word rudely and callously, which is disrespectful.
Firstly, it is
Please,
important.
no. Land, Kedia, first line.
Now, the outing of the president of the House of Chiefs talks about the challenge of the House or the president of the House of Chiefs to the SDO. Now, it is correct if the SDO, if the House President of the House of Chiefs called the SDO that I am not d'accord with this, it is correct. But he used words here that are insultive, which is also a crime.
Can I say
like
something?
calling them rudely, by calling the SDO rudely and callous. Now, well, permit me to talk.
Yeah, but you have been talking for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
They have been distracting me.
No, nobody's distracting
All right.
you.
No, what is most important?
No, let him land.
Oh, that's what he's doing, but they'll say nobody's doing it. All right, let me conclude. Now, if they are going to an administrative court,
No, you keep. No, you go.
No, as simple as it is.
Continue.
Malangfe is.
Because you don't want me to land, and I need to explain to land.
No, you are talking about court.
No, Malangfe is dwelling.
Why you ask me why the president of the house?
But you don't know what is not founded. That's my point. You
He
don't know
asked
what's
me
not
a
founded.
question. He asked me a question.
Please.
Why is the
Please.
president of the House of Assembly distancing himself? That's what I'm saying.
Please.
No, but you're dwelling on what is not founded. For example,
please, I ask the questions. Please, I ask the questions. Why I'm taking the mic from you is that you have spoken for so long.
Because they don't permit me to talk. I'll do the same to them now. Let's go ahead.
Let me finish, Malamfe. And then you've stated at least 3 times that it is because of the usage of the words callous and
Each time I want to land, he will call.
yes, what is most important, he keeps talking about callous and all whatnot, callously and the rest. Now, please, it is important. According to the president of the House of Chiefs, that statement was indeed a disregard of their person. That statement is unfeelingly. He did not feel for them. That statement shows insensitive. That statement is cruel. That is summarily what he is saying. Because when you hear the word callously, you may want to think that he said,
decided to use callously because you know the definition of rudely. And this is because you are taking a position. We are supposed to be able to analyze.
The statement
you are taking a position.
Not polite.
What's the meaning of rudely?
He said the statement is not polite. You are being rude, sir. That how could you tell us,
you define callous, what's rudely?
People who are indeed sent by God to lead a set of people, and you sit and you call us and you tell us that if we do not comply, we should write to you giving you reasons why we were unable. Maybe if our cars had a breakdown, tell us. You should tell us. We should tell you why we were not present. Then you went ahead to say, okay, in this situation, I am going to put a file that will present how indisciplined you are.
Sir,
and I will forward it to hierarchy.
You refuse to define rudely. You decided to define callous. Why?
And the poor manner in which you write this, and the poor manner in which you write this to our person, chiefs who are indeed the ones managing you. And sir, in your village you have a chief. And why would you react to this to us chiefs of FAKO when in your village you have a chief? This is the spirit in which Chief Ateme Bako,
he insulted
the paramount
of having bad manners.
The Talangai people.
He asked he insulted the SDO of having bad manners.
So please, it is very important for us to note that the president of the regional assembly was now writing to the president of the House of Chiefs, painting a picture of him not being a patriotic citizen. Whereas, if we look at who Chief Ateme Bako is, he is the paramount ruler of the people of the Talangai people, and one of the most patriotic Cameroonians I've ever listened to.
And you allow
for several years since I was born. This is one of the person who has struggled to consolidate peace, bringing order in his area and to the entire region, which is one of the reasons why he was voted as the president of the House of Chiefs for the Southwest region. So I think it is very important for the SDO to note that, in other words, the chiefs became so soft through their leader. That is why they said the national day is above telling you to apologize, which I think is as simple as this. But I want to believe that, given that these people are all there to serve the interests of the people of the Southwest region, and the SDO is there to serve the interests of the people of the subdivision, or the division, pardon, it is incumbent on the DO to why not have a meeting with the president of the House of Chiefs and the chiefs of the FAKO division for they to sit and look at other things, because the letter was not called for.
No, please.
When you say the SDO used a word that was harsh, we should be honest to accept that the president of the House of Chiefs used the word rudely. Rudely means bad manners. Now, you look for the definition. You decided to use callous, but you refuse to use the word rudely, which you know it means bad manners. Now, the House of Chiefs insulting the SDO of having bad manners, of being rude, being rudely, is not correct. So we should be able to accept that, Mr. DO, this is where you went wrong for saying that discipline which we don't accept. We should be also honest to say that the Chief Ebako, which you love so much, which you are supporting, to tell him honestly that using the word rude, which means bad manners, according to the Oxford definition, it is wrong. That's just my point. When we can accept these two, then we'll go further. I will understand why the president of the House of Assembly decided to come in.
Since KJ has been
No, so he came in because, but
he said challenge.
Kedia, please, he said
challenge.
Yeah, but he did not say what you are saying.
Yeah. But when you say the NGO is rude and callous, is it not challenge?
The issue is,
please,
for purpose of education.
When you say rudely and callous, is it not challenge?
I think, Mr. KJ, you are blowing this out of proportion. Rudely is an adverb. That means doing something in a way that is not polite or considerate of others.
That's my own definition.
Not polite
and offensive or bad manners.
Yes, not polite or considerate. Yes, yeah. Not polite or considerate.
So don't bring your own.
It can be described as it's an adverb. It's not an adverb. It's an adverb. It can be described as
definition.
Yes.
Oxford language learning. In an offensive or bad manners is written there.
Well, can this thing be civil? Kedia, please.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, so I was saying that the word, maybe we should not blow that word out of proportion, like build a mountain from that word of root.
But they can build a mountain on discipline fire.
Let us look at the context, the spirit behind.
Please,
like
please. We have spoken about the message of the senior divisional officer. We started with it. We have gone to the response from the president of the House of Chiefs. We are now on the president of the regional assembly. Please. Well, and I'm asking the questions. And the question I have for you, Tamai Travis, was it necessary to do this public disapproval of the outing of the president of the regional House of Chiefs?
On a balanced position, I would say that maybe that taking it publicly was simply because the letter of the president of the House of Chiefs has gone publicly, and that was why he actually had to take that also publicly. You know, he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches, and if you look at the fact that he, especially the president of the regional assembly, is a political leader, as compared to the chief, which is a divine position, which is hereditary based on. So you see, he has to now play more of the auxiliary position than the chiefs, because he's that one that he's the chief executive officer of the region. If we go by what the law of decentralization actually gives, which means that he has the administrative role to actually look into the activities of the region, and you know his activity cut across villages too, which the chiefs herein are also his auxiliary, and that's why they are in that regional assembly together, and that's why it is not by coincidence that the vice president must be the president of the House of Chiefs, who look at the voice of the villages and bring it to them. So taking the letter now to public, I think from administrative position, he reacted because the one of the president of the House of Chiefs has gone to the public. So he had to address it to the public. So the public should not actually have a misconception based on his position, because the letterhead has gone out. Like he said, his main worry was the letterhead. So without seeing it, if he had not reacted publicly, it would have been silence his consent, that other people may have seen that, hey, you know what, this is what is happening, and the letterhead was used according to him. The letterhead. So he had to write is right to explain that the reason why he's writing, and it was clear in his letter about the issue of the letterhead, which now he reminded that if it is based on that, he is the person that has the sole right to actually send out information representing the region to the outside were using that letterhead as the president of the regional assembly, quoting the law which he quoted. So taking it to the public on the one hand, administratively is correct, but also within the aspect, the spirit of unity, the spirit of actually camaraderie, I think it would have been solved in-house without taking it to the public. Sometimes we must not only look at the administrative, something may be administratively correct, but it can go and instead bring out division within the house itself, the inwardness. Because if you look at this now, the people have started already saying that, oh, there's division, oh, there's this, there's that, there's that. It now take people into different camps and camps and camps. So what I'm saying in essence is that if I were to be in his position, what I simply would have done was to give a phone call or to call Chief Ebako as my vice president and ask, but this is what I think we should have done, but administratively is correct. If you look at it administratively, because that letter has gone to the public and his complaint that he gave was the usage of the letterhead, which we are talking about, which we have talked about. So to me, I think that on that administrative position. However, it is coming again to give a good explanation and give good reason why the special status need further clarity. Further clarity needs to be given. Who does what, where, and when, and how? Because if you look at this, it is now making us to see, based on the letter of the President of Regional Assembly, asking the fundamental question that does it mean that the President of the House of Chiefs has no authority to communicate to the outside world when matters of the chiefs are concerned? That is a question, because in his letter, it was explicit. The regional president was explicit that he's the person that has to give out the word. So, which means that we expect in future, when the House of Chiefs is sitting, they should actually have this clarity to clarify if the president of the House of Chiefs, maybe an issue of the letterhead, the issue of the letterhead will be raised. Maybe in future we'll see a new letterhead from the House of Chiefs itself without that the central logo. But the question like you are asked is that, is the House of Chiefs separate from the regional assembly? That is where the problem now comes, because you now ask. In fact, it is kind of it's kind of very confusing, because it is not separate, but it is like an autonomous body which work in unity with the regional assembly. So the final question is, if something is happening that the president of the House of Chiefs needs to represent the voice of chiefs, doesn't he has the power to write that I, as the president, write as the president of the House of Chiefs? Let me give a simple anecdote. Like, assuming that I'm a staff delegate in a company, in an institution, and in that same institution, I am an employee. And if something happens, I write as a staff delegate, I must use the letterhead of the institution. But I have to put it that I am writing as the staff delegate or staff representative.
Yeah, but I want also, in your capacity as president of the Southwest House of Chiefs, that is the president of the Regional Assembly writing, say you could have added your voice to that of the administrator by urging your colleagues across the region to turn out massively to give our National Day the grandeur it deserves. Unfortunately, by your correspondence, you are combating global state and collective efforts to bring back normalcy to our beloved region. Is there any portion in that letter where the president of the House of Chiefs says his colleagues should not come out?
Thank you. This is where I was saying.
It's not you now. As I say, he said, I want to read it. It says, in your capacity as president of the Southwest House of Chiefs, the second page, first at the top. In your capacity as the president of the House of Chiefs, you could have added your voice to that of the administrator by urging your colleagues across the region to turn out massively to give our National Day the grandeur it deserves. Unfortunately, by your correspondence, you are combating global states and collective efforts to bring back normalcy to our beloved regions. The chiefs have been coming out. Did they actually need to be reminded? Why does the Regional Assembly President think that the President of the House of Chiefs was supposed to remind his colleagues to come out? And where in the correspondence of the House of Chiefs is it indicated that is asking the chiefs not to come out? That is saying that you are combating global state and collective efforts to bring back normalcy to our beloved region.
All right. Now, this goes with what my co-panelist was saying, the spirit behind a message. Now, what was the agenda of the SDO? Was to bring out chief, okay? But people decided to match the spirit behind his message to focus on the word disciplinary.
Have the chiefs not been coming out? Have they not been coming out?
No, the rate of the way they are coming out with the crisis is that reduced now. There are some that they are threatened. There are some that are not even in their villages now. We should also accept this.
Encircle the crisis all under.
Please allow me to talk when it's my time to talk.
Go on.
As I earlier said, these chiefs, many of them, they are even out of their region. We all know this. We know the impact of the crisis. That's why many of them, they are not. And so asking them to be present to assist the Republic to mobilize their people is something normal. And that is the intention of the SDO. Now, the SDO used the word discipline, which many people has taken it and gone out of proportion. The same as when I want to use the word used by the chief here as being rudely. Many people say that, no, I want to go, my co-panelist say I want to go out of proportion. But he does not accept to that using the word disciplinary. People have gone out of proportion. Now, when these words are being used to encourage the people to come, the president of the House of Chiefs was supposed to understand the spirit behind the message of the SDO, which the intention is to mobilize. But the chief did not instead talk about that intention too. He focused on the word disciplinary. And so that is why the president of the assembly is calling on him that you should have supported the spirit behind the decision of the SDO to ask people to come out. Nobody honestly will say that with the presence of the crisis. And I insist in area, especially like in FAKO subdivision, where the crisis is still there. It's different from Limbe. So it's normal that he asked these chiefs, of course, to ask their people to be present.
Limbe is in FAKO.
Limbe is in FAKO. I said the way the crisis is in Moyoka is not the same like in Limbe. All of them are in FAKO. Yeah. So we should look at, that's it what I'm saying. I mean that they should look at the situation in Moyoka. The crisis in Moyoka is not the same like in Limbe. It's not the same like in Edi now. So they're asking this chief to come out. And asking them to come out, for me, is something that the president of the House of Chiefs should have encouraged. And not just forgetting the spirit of the message of the Jew to stay with the word discipline. And that is where now the president of the assembly comes in to let him know that you are not instead supposed to challenge him. You are not supposed to use the word that he used, which, honestly, I still repeat it again. My co-panelists don't want to accept that word rudely and callous is not correct, but they want to use the word discipline that is not correct. We should be able to tell the deal to his face that this word discipline that you use, chiefs are not okay. And we should be able to tell the president of the House of Chiefs that the word rudely and callous is not okay. When we point out the error of each other, it means that us on this platform, we are out to make peace. We are not taking position. That's why I can come up plain to say, DO, this is your error.
You have made that point clear.
Clear.
Yes. Your explanation, does it explain what I asked here, that he says your capacity of the president of the House of Chiefs, you could have added, and when he says your correspondents are combating global state and collective efforts to bring back normalcy, is he indirectly saying that the president is asking chiefs not to come?
No, I have explained. I still explain again.
The spirit.
Then this is the intention of the SDO to bring the chiefs out.
Yeah, but
that is what he was.
I understand what you are saying.
But the president of the House of Chiefs didn't look at that. He only paid attention to the word discipline.
You have made that point. Yes, you have made that point clear, and I agree. My question is there any spirit behind what the president of the House of Chiefs wrote, which suggests that he does not want the chiefs to come out?
That's why I'm explaining that him focusing on that word disciplinary, which is already causing problems.
Yeah, but is that saying that the chiefs should not come out? Yes.
Insisting that he could have asked him to apologize to the chief, that he is rude to the chief, he is callous towards the chief. This is enough to instead create division among these chiefs, not to come out. That is what it is saying.
Mr. Kuhn, we should not belabor certain words, please. It's obvious. If I tell Tamai Jarvis that your action you did a few seconds ago promotes more viewership of My Media Prime and Prime Hour as a program. It means Mr. Jarvis contributed positively. But if I told Mr. Jarvis that your action a few seconds ago activated or promoted the lesser viewership, it means I'm telling Jarvis that you did not do the right thing. Now, it's as simple as it is, based on the wordings of the president of the Regional Assembly, that why we are looking at how many people, I may be paraphrasing, looking at how you could mobilize your colleagues to turn out massively for us to give the grandeur the 20th of May deserve in our region and in our subdivision. You were rather there combating efforts made and being made by authorities within the region to mobilize people, which I earlier said something that you totally disagree, is that it paints Chief Ateme Bako and his fellow chiefs as bad people, and the Regional Assembly president is trying to be the only good boy among the bad boys by that statement, which of course it is not the intention of Chief Ateme Bako. If you go to that document Chief Ateme Bako wrote to the senior divisional officer for FAKO division, which I'll still ask a question, why FAKO, you will realize that he said that they needed not to be reminded. And just as the paramount ruler, the Naliomo of Beya, said that they needed not to be reminded, because since the 70s, they have been participating in this event, and they have been very active in the event, to the extent that some of their chiefdoms, they will mobilize their people. And why would you want to belittle us in a time like this, to paint us as children? And I was indeed flabbergasted when I observed that letter from the Regional Assembly president telling Chief Ateme Bako that you are combating global effort to restore normalcy. That statement is outrageous. It did not call for that statement. The statement paints Chief Ateme Bako and the entire Southwest Chief Conference bad boys. Whereas, in all good effort, we have seen them in several fronts calling on their subject to embrace peace and normalcy. So why would such a statement be coming from the Regional Assembly president? Yeah, so I think it is incumbent, and it is very, very imperative that the office of the Southwest Independent Conciliator, please, they need to go down. They need to have a talk, because I see this as an administrative route, and it is not good for the people.
Okay, it's not good for the people. Somebody's worried that we have had a conflict for over 80 years in the Southwest region. These chiefs live in very remote areas. They don't have security. They have worked severally on several fronts to bring peace and normalcy. Can we question their love for nation, their love for return to normalcy, simply through their absence for a day's celebration?
If they
can we summarize that?
No, we cannot.
That their absence signifies that they do.
No, it cannot, because the chiefs, if we look at key players as far as auxiliaries of the government is concerned, those who have paid the highest price as far as the conflict, the Northwest and Southwest is concerned, are the chiefs. We have had chiefs who have been killed as a result of this crisis. Some have been kidnapped as a result of this crisis.
Died in the hands of the kidnappers.
Some have died in the hands of the kidnappers as a result of this crisis. And some have still been threatened as a result of this crisis.
Some are refugees, some are internally displaced people.
Their palaces desecrated as a result of this crisis. They are not superhumans. They are humans. But in times like this, I think that the chiefs in the Northwest and the Southwest region have paid a heavy price, and they keep paying that heavy price as far as consolidating national unity and integration is concerned. So being present or being absent is not a unit of analysis to look at their participation on effective national integration. And you will bear with me that from all the nooks and crannies in the Southwest and the Northwest, chiefs have heavily mobilized call on their people to shun violence. Chiefs have readily mobilized, calling on their brothers and their sisters and their subjects to please tell their children in the bushes to drop their arms. We have also seen chiefs have done incantation that those who are causing violence in their villages, the gods should deal with them. And this is an effort of chiefs making sure that the national unity is preserved and peace is restored. Let me tell you, the biggest loser, if there's no peace, it's not the SDO.
It's the chief.
It's the chief. The biggest loser, if there is no normalcy in the village, it's not the governor. It's the chief.
They don't have armor cars guarding them.
Let me explain why. I come from the northwest region, but I was born in the southwest. In my days in Bombay Bakundu, there's what we call the Meme Festival. This festival brings sons and daughters from at home and abroad. Now, each village that hosts this festival has a good economic impact in their community. The same in my village, Way Village. There's what we also call the convention, national convention, where everybody converge at the village. The village booms. But since this crisis, ask which of these villages have been able to host this event. The chiefs are instead the ones who are losing. And if there's any partner of peace, it's the chief. So we should not give the impression that the chiefs are repugnant to peace, stability, national unity in our beloved nation. And if you are, like you said, the spirit behind that the letter of the chief, president of the House of Chiefs, did not in any way say that chiefs should not come out. He said, he reaffirmed the fact that because it is National Day, we will have to be there, whether you are rudely to us or not. We will have to be there, because he said, if not, we would have asked for apology.
Okay, we are ending this this program with once again listening to this report by Manuela C. from Boya.
Today, May 20, 2025, saw traditional rulers in their numbers attend the National Day celebration in Boya, saying that it is their civic duty as Cameroonians.
No, it's a civic duty. The chiefs have always been participating in this event since the 70s. And then, so this year was not a special year. The chiefs have never boycotted this event for any other reason that I know. So we enjoy coming here. We have always been part of the nation building of this country, and it's our civic responsibility, and we enjoy the day today very, very much.
They also added that they were taken aback with the senior divisional officer's communique on discipline to absentee traditional rulers on the National Day ceremonial ground.
Well, I read the message with a little bit of consternation, because I know that as somebody who loves this country, we don't need to be reminded to come to this annual ceremony of showing our unity for the country. So I was taken a little bit aback, but the SDO is the SDO, and I am a chief. I'll do my job, let him do his own job.
According to the president of the Southwest House of Chiefs, the senior divisional officer crossed the red line of rudeness, mentioning that absentees traditional rulers will be disciplined.
Some people may not be able to come. Don't produce anything that goes in the wrong way, talking about discipline. Those are not words to be used during a National Unity Day.
However, the chiefs maintain that they are not obeying the communique of the senior divisional officer, but it is their right to be there as compatriots.
Normal chief they get for camp, they get for people grassroots. So if any chief they say they come, except the chief, it will be a chief where you know well, also sometimes they for town, or sometimes they out of country, and so on and so forth. Now my duty for camp, so I get right for camp and I go camp.
It should be noted here that on a communique dated May 15, 2025, from the senior divisional officer of FAKO to the divisional officers, he mentioned that traditional rulers in FAKO who do not justify their absence at the National Day ceremonial grounds will be subjected to a request for explanation and a disciplinary fine be sent to their hierarchy. This action by the senior divisional officer has caused widespread condemnation on the respect of traditional authorities who are leaders in their respective villages and are auxiliaries of the state.
Thank you very much, Emanuela C., and to you, Robert Malafi, for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here again to give my view.
I see it, I was interpreting document in my own perspective. I have respect for all traditional rulers. At least if it was my own traditional ruler that they use the word discipline, I will not be happy. I respect traditional ruler. I was just interpreting what I've seen in the documents, and I've given my own view, and I brought out the wrong action of everybody. As I brought that of the Jew out, so I brought that of the president of the House of Chiefs. And to conclude again, we believe that the independent conciliator will come out to clarify all issues. We should know the autonomy that, of course, the House of Chiefs is having as an integral part of the Regional Assembly. Can the House of Chiefs have their own seal? Can the House of Chiefs have their own logo? Can the House of Chiefs have their own separate, independent letterhead? Does the law permit this? I believe that those are the questions that the independent conciliator will be able to bring in place, so that if the president of the chief wants to sign any document, we should see the logo of the House of Chiefs, we should see the letterhead of the House of Chiefs, and we should see the logo of the House of Chiefs. So those are the things we'll be waiting for a last piece. We know such problems, they come so that the law will be interpreted more and more solutions given, so that when it happens in other regions, solutions will be brought.
Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure being here always. I would still like to call on, please, the set video of this little girl who was actually raped in Moya. Please, if you are part of those who are sharing the video online, please do not share that video further. I want to equally thank Madame Ebai, the principal of GBHS Moya. She is so supportive with regards to managing this case. So please, let us put our hands together and ensure that we create an environment that is free, safe for children not to be raped. Parents need to take up their responsibilities. And it is like part of me, if I don't say it, I'm not happy. Please, get your vote card. Register, think about elections, go for the right elections. Some of these things we are having within our institutions is as a result of the particular administration that is in place. It may be doing its best, but we have more people with different ideas. You know, it is similarly homogeneous within the set region, but heterogeneous in terms of ideas. So why not register, think about voting, vote on the day of elections, and ensure that you become the police of your vote. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Tamai Jarvis.
Thank you. Special good evening to the peace-loving people of Way Village and those in Munya. I want to say that this conflict is necessary because it will go a long way to further help the House of Chiefs to come up with new policies and further explain some things to remember we were new to this issue of decentralization. Errors will be made, and corrections will be given, and clarity will be given. As time goes on, we will see what can be done in terms of the separation of power, the House of the Regional Assembly. However, we expect now the boss of the independent conciliator to come and give clarity on this issue, since it is now public. So we should have a public interpretation so that we can now see how things can be done.
Mr. permit me to thank the head of state for celebrating the 20th May very well in the Boulevard. Thank you very much. You know, I can't leave your program without thanking the head of state.
Okay, thank you very much, and to all of you for watching. We thank the production team, Eli and Desmond. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.